What's up, everybody? It's Jordan, and welcome to the Sports Student Hine Show. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about 5 corners the Bengals should be looking at in the 2022 NFL Draft. We're just a little over 2 weeks away from the draft, and there's not really a position that the Bengals must address early. But I feel like if you have to nitpick at the Bengals roster, I would say corner would be probably the right position to go at here in the first round with a 31st pick overall. And, there's lots of many different corners who the Bengals could possibly end up taking at 31. It isn't a guarantee that we'll take that position, but if I had to bet on a certain position we're going to take in the first round, I would say it is probably corner. So I'm going to be talking about 5 corners I would like for the Bengals to maybe look at here in the draft. Let's start off here with Andrew Booth Jr., the corner from Clemson. I'm not really sure if he will be available at the 31st pick overall. I really don't think he will. No, but looking at it, he had 3 interceptions this past year and 5 pass deflections for Clemson. He's, regarded as one of the best corners in the 2022 NFL Draft. I wouldn't be surprised, like I said, if he's already gone. But if he's there, I feel like the Bengals have to basically run up at the podium and go ahead and take him there, because that would be tremendous value to get him at 31, because he's one of the best corners in the draft. I would kind of be surprised if he's available. But I would love that pick there. That would be a tremendous value pick if the Bengals were to select him there with the 31st pick. Another corner here is KAIIR ELAM, the corner from Florida. Something about KAIIR ELAM, he's extremely young. I mean, he's going to be 20 years old by the time he gets drafted. And, this past season, he only gave up 18 receptions, 165 yards in the 2021 season. And when you look at him, he's playing against some of these top wide receivers in the SEC. So I think that's pretty impressive. He's one of those guys who at times can get burnt, kind of reminds me a little bit of Trey Kirkpatrick. When you look at him, he's fine one play, and another play he's very, kind of gets burnt there, kind of gives up a big pass. He's inconsistent, but if he can kind of be more consistent, I think could be a nice corner who could develop in the Bengals secondary and be pretty good for us for the next several seasons. That's somebody I would not mind there at 31. One corner here, I really don't think people are talking much about him. Maybe we could trade back and get him. Some people might think this could be a reach at 31, but it is Roger McCreary, the corner from Auburn. Roger McCreary has forced 25 incompletions. That's the most since 2020. He has the second highest PFF grade in press coverage in the 2021 season with 86. Highest graded corner in the 2021 season, according to BFF, 89.9. When you look at McCreary, he's somehow underrated despite all these, PFF stats and his amazing grades. And despite playing the SEC, he's still not really getting the credit he deserves. And like KAIIR ELAM, like I mentioned, Roger McCreary is still, he's also playing against these, great wide receivers in the SEC as well. He has the highest coverage grade by a Power 5 corner since 2019. When you look at it, the second is McDuffie, the corner from Washington, who's also in this year's draft. And third is Derek Stingley Jr., who's considered one of the top corners in this year's draft. So when you look at him, being ahead of some of those guys, it really shows how good Roger McCreary is. And he's just not getting the credit deserves. And I don't really think he's being talked about enough for the 31st pick. I think, people need to start talking about him more as us possibly drafting him with our first round selection with the 31st pick overall. Now, this pick here, he's really, he's a guy who's really been gaining some steam here these last couple of months, and that is UTSA corner TARIQ Woolen. TARIQ Woolen was originally a wide receiver at UTSA, but he has converted into a corner. He's only played corner for 2 years. That is his, I would say, downfall right there. That is the bad thing about him. But when you look at him, he is absolutely phenomenal. He has a terrific wingspan. He had some amazing, numbers at the combine. He had a vertical leap. It was towards the top of the combine numbers. He is 6'4", and with his amazing wingspan, I mean, that is incredible size to be 6'4" and be a great corner. I mean, that's taller than some of the best wide receivers in the NFL. He also ran a 40-yard dash of a 4.26. 4.26 and 6'4" as a corner. I mean, he is underrated so much. If he were to play at Alabama or Ohio State, he would for sure be a top 15 pick, in my opinion. The only reason he's not being talked about as much is because he's playing at a smaller school in UTSA, and he's not playing against these elite, competition, amazing wide receivers. And he's only played corner for a couple of years. But I could see us possibly taking TARIQ Woolen if we decided to maybe trade back with a team who has a top 10 pick in the second round. Maybe a team like the Falcons or something like that. Wouldn't be shocked about that. But TARIQ Woolen, to me, I would love it if the Bengals got him. I think he has so much potential. And even at 31, depending what corners are already gone, I would not hate the idea if we took Woolen at 31, depending what corners have already been taken. But I really feel like TARIQ Woolen is somebody who needs to be talking about more for Cincinnati, whether it's at 31 or maybe it's a trade back. But, talking about, some small school corners, one other kind of, corner who's not playing at a huge school. I know they were in the playoffs this past season, but that is Cincinnati corner COBY BRYANT. Now, this pick here, this is not really a corner who's going to be a first-round pick. I think COBY BRYANT could possibly be a second-round pick, or if we traded back in the second, maybe get him in the early third. COBY BRYANT is a very underrated corner. He has 50 career starts during his time with the Bearcats. And I think that's huge. You wouldn't have somebody who has a ton of experience playing. 50 starts, that is insane. And that's, I would say that's definitely, advantage COBY BRYANT has, maybe taking him in the second compared to TARIQ Woolen at 31 or a trade back. He has far more playing time and far more experience, playing and starting at corner than TARIQ Woolen, who's only played corner for 2 years. So that's really advantage there for BRYANT over TARIQ Woolen. But he also has 10 career interceptions. He is amazing. Everybody talks about Sauce Gardner, but COBY BRYANT does not get talked about enough in the Cincinnati secondary. He was also the 2021 Jem Thorpe Award winner, which, that is an incredible honor to win, especially, at a not huge school at Cincinnati. I really think he needs to be talked about more, maybe in the second round for the Bengals. If we do not take a corner in the first round, which, I think it is possible we take one, but I would not be shocked if we didn't. I would not be surprised one bit if COBY BRYANT is maybe our second-round pick or third-round pick even, depending where he goes. But I would love to see any of these five, corners having selected by the Bengals. This list was not really in any particular order. And I would love it if the Bengals get any of these corners and some of these other corners like McDuffie and Gordon. Just because they were not listed on here doesn't mean I don't want the Bengals to get them. These are just some of the corners I would really like to see the Bengals get, in the draft just a couple weeks away. Let me know what you think. That about does it for this video. If you've seen my videos before or if you're new to the channel, I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe to my channel. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time on the Sports Studio Hines Show.